Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there. Yes, Neuromdaputs, we are streaming regularly on Wednesdays, as we always do, as we have been. I'm sorry that on the day that I flew home from Mexico, I didn't want to stream.
Yeah, how dare you not?
I streamed from the tub in Mexico, damn it.
Again, how dare you? You could have done better by, I don't know. I don't have something to fill in this with. I'm just angry on the internet. I don't have a purpose.
Casey, Neuromdaputs isn't bitchy. Neuromdaputs is just being Neuromdaputs. We all know and love Neuromdaputs.
We have a word for that. It's
stupid moron.
Jesus Christ. I think I'm finally going to put...
For the record, I did not just call someone a stupid moron. Neuromdaputs is literally stupid moron spelled backward. And it took me a long time to realize that.
All right, Eric Hovind, rearrange.
Shh. Okay, well, Cirrus, I have multiple surprises for you on the stream.
I don't like those words. Those words sound terrifying.
Some of them are better than others. First off, let's do this one.
God fucking damn it! You piece of fucking human shit! And maybe a little rat shit mixed in. Oh.
Thank you, Cirrus.
Have you considered opening the freezer and then closing your head in it?
Yeah, on a hot day.
I meant hard.
Yeah, maybe. Depends on the day. Depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
Rosina ooh says happy pumpkin spicemas.
Happy white girl summer.
Happy white girl summer. Yep, indeed.
Is pumpkin spice time.
So
Gus says let cooler heads prevail.
Casey wants to know what the hell the ooh even means.
Look, it's a long story, but it has a whole lot to do with terrible, terrible things in my very vague backstory that the authors may write one day, but until then they have to keep stringing it along episode after episode, so you'll tune in.
So do you know how long I've been saving up your channel points for that ooh?
I'm going to assume about 4 or 5 months.
Something like that. I actually... Neuromdaputs for $2 says, well, whatever, I'll take what I can get. Yeah, so anytime I actually set up my Twitch. So like I've installed it on my phone, which I never do with these stupid streaming apps. And then everybody that I follow, I like turned off all notifications except for you. And then I changed the notification on my phone to you saying ooh. So every time you went live, my phone would go ooh.
Oh my god.
And I'd be like, and yeah, you could ask my partner sometimes. She would like roll her eyes as my phone go ooh, and then I would rush into the office to turn on your stream. I have an add-on
just so you would start getting your points.
I have an add-on installed that would automatically click the little thingy to collect the bonus points. So
you
I just
min-maxed fucking me over. That's what you did.
I give you a lot of watch time, buddy.
Jesus Christ. Wait a minute, is that why? Okay, so you know how on Twitch you're able to see the people who are viewing, like you can see all of your lurkers while you're live.
No, I didn't know that. If
okay,
I'd have known that, I might have gone about this differently.
So you can see all of your lurkers when you're live, and if memory serves, I have you as VIP, so I can see like when you're watching. That explains why you showed up so many times.
Yeah. And I got so mad at your inconsistent schedule because you get the bonus points when you get a streak. So like every now and then you just stream at 1 a.m. while I was asleep, and so I wouldn't be able to get the bonus. I'd lose the streak.
So if it makes it any better, because
my little geekery, it's called Better TV is the one that I used.
Oh yeah, Better Twitch TV.
I don't know. It's just Better TV. I don't fucking know.
But because Saki has been wanting us to do Pokemon Go stuff, my schedule is, or at least should, start getting a little more predictable as
because you're
my
scheduling
morning
streams around Pokemon Go.
So what we were doing was that we would wake up get breakfast or make breakfast together, and then we would go out and play for about 5 or 6 hours, sometimes 8, and then come home and I would go, okay, cool, we're home, it's time for me to work. The problem is I'd be physically exhausted.
Oh, I think Jassa redeemed a hat while I was in Mexico and didn't have my hats, and also forgot to set up the notification for that, so I guess I owe Jassa a hat.
I guess. But so I basically said, look, I'm trying to find a way to make playing this game with you work. I want to play this game with you. I need the exercise, and it's been good, consistent exercise, and you want to play this game. So we need to make sure that this thing is a priority so that we can do this, but we also have to be able to eat. So we're going to have to find a way to make that work too. So It's me getting up around 9, taking care of everything that I need to, and then around 10 or 10:30 starting my stream and ending it about 4 or 5 hours afterwards, which is usually enough time to, get a few topics done, play a few video games, and then raid off to another channel. And then by that time it's 2 or 3 p.m. We can leave before 5 o'clock traffic rushes in. And if we're spending 3 or 4 hours at a park or something, we'll be leaving the park after 5 o'clock traffic has already done its thing. And it works out pretty well. The only problem we're running into is I need to figure out a time to do my Magic the Gathering content as well, which I thought we had figured out. And then I realized that I was coasting off of a bunch of backlogged studying and prep I had done for decks. And as soon as I ran out of all of that backlogged content that I had stored up to create and voice and edit, I woke up this morning going, okay, I have Drew Gulak coming on for an interview. That has to happen at 12. I have 3 hours to do this. I opened up my folder of things to do and saw that I was out and went, oh, shit. Never mind. I'm not shooting video today. I'm studying.
Yeah. Well, so my second surprise, you'll actually like this one. So Mark Fernkopf sent me this in my in my news emails at news@vicerhino.com. If you have an article you think I should cover, or just something interesting that I might want to show on stream, but I thought it was quite serendipitous that this showed up in my inbox in time for the episode where I finally had enough points to make you do the uwu.
Mm-hmm. God damn it. Fucking hell. Clueless Expert, thank you for the 100 bits, says, hey, shouldn't you be wearing a Sonic onesie? Let me double check you on that. I don't think so. Let me check my PayPal. Let me see if y'all got the pool to
no. Are you gonna have to change?
800. If chat got the pool to the 800, I told them that I would do this stream with you in a Sonic onesie.
If you double it, he'll change on camera.
As much as I would love for you to earn me more money to pay my bills, as of right now, we are $90 off for me having to do that, so I am still safe from wearing the Sonic onesie. I'm golden.
Okay. I
don't have to do any of that right now.
Make it happen by next week, guys. Yeah, so that was my second surprise. Third one, this is the one I was setting up right before we got so the AI bros who every time a new AI thing happens, they all go nuts over it.
Oh my god, have you seen what generative AI can do now?
Yeah. So anyway, the latest thing that they were doing, that they were unironically being like, this is amazing, this is like they're going to be making blockbuster videos with this in no time or whatever. This is the video that came with that tweet. I hope the sound comes through because the sound kind of makes it worth it, but it's still funny without the sound.
Pause before we do this. I just realized this was a fuck up, not on my audience's side, but on PayPal's side. On my end, it shows 709. On the actual fundraiser, it shows 809.
Oh, so there were fees or some shit.
There was something that happened that I didn't account for. So I guess I'll be right back. I guess I will be in a onesie.
No. You guys, I played up the video. You got to watch the video first, and then go change.
You want me to watch the video first?
It's very short. It's very short.
Okay.
You can think of it while you change.
A sword fight, man. Come on, a sword fight, man. A sword fight.
Fucking wiener fight.
The best part about that, though, is that That is actually kind of how you would fight with a lightsaber if they actually exist, because like there wouldn't be a hard surface for you to like knock against. And like I've seen scientists talking about how this would be like, you have a flashlight, you just be like waving it in each other's faces like that. This is like, you can't block it, so you just like whoever gets the head chopped off first wins.
There was a video I saw of somebody who made a homemade lightsaber, one of the older designs for one, and it involved using a ceramic tube in the middle to shoot the plasma out from, because that would be the only way to have a lightsaber that would crack against another lightsaber, would to be to have that ceramic middle. But of course that would create the problem of, if you block somebody's lightsaber with it, congratulations, shrapnel everywhere. And also you have just given you've just manufactured the inferior weapon that, now people can block you, but you can't block the people that don't have the ceramic inserts. Yeah.
All right, go get changed. Go get changed. How long does it take him to change, do you think? Because I don't know. So yeah. Oof, now I have to try my hardest to resist actualing this, or the lightsaber thing. Is there a way to make the photons hard? Just gotta properly stimulate the photons and then they will get hard. My headcanon is that lightsabers are plasma kept in an electromagnetic field. So yeah, I think the actual like in-universe canon explanation is that they're like using the force to contain the plasma or whatever. And so that's why non-force users are supposed to not be able to use it, but then the movies kind of ruin that when they show non-force users using it. Like, then everybody goes to Finn immediately, but like, no, Han did that in Empire Strikes Back, so... But, and other people are saying apparently that's not headcanon, that's actually canon, is plasma in a magnetic field. I don't know. I don't actually care, because it's fiction. I like my fiction to make sense, but like when it comes to cool devices that just look cool and who fucking cares, I'll give it to them. Lightsabers work in the Star Wars universe. You don't need to give me a scientific explanation for it. Oh, play the video with the sound on. Okay, I just have to figure out how to do that. It's in a different scene because I didn't know what scene I'd be in. No, not properties. Advanced audio properties. Hi, Cirrus, you're back. Sonic Cirrus.
I'm back. I'm back. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now.
Yeah, well, people told me I need to play the video again, but like with the proper sound.
With the proper sound?
So...
You want a sword fight, man? Come on, a sword fight you, man. A sword fight you.
Did you hear that?
I couldn't hear the sound at all.
How about now?
You want a sword fight, man? Come on, a sword fight you, man. A sword fight you.
Not at all.
Well, I'm sorry, but my stream did hear it.
Your stream did hear it?
Yes.
Hold on.
It was probably a bit too loud for my stream, actually.
What's the video called?
I don't fucking know. You think I remember how to search for it? I went to Twitter and I searched for like lightsaber AI, and it was one of the first ones that came up.
Okay.
Oh, apparently the audience heard it all 3 times.
Why the fuck is the first thing I see Jesus Christ with a lightsaber?
That's hilarious.
That's not what I expected to see.
They're like smack talking each other. So like, you want to sword fight me? You want to sword fight? It's so fucking bad.
Yeah, I typed in lightsaber AI, and why are all these posts from 2022?
I don't know. What the fuck is your Twitter doing?
I don't know.
Did you search on Twitter or on Google?
On Twitter.
Because I literally just typed in lightsaber AI, and it was the first result. It is still the first result for me. I will just send you the link so that you can hear it in all its glory.
Are you sending it to me on WhatsApp?
Yeah, I did, yes. Because that's what I have open. I haven't even opened Discord in months.
You want a sword fight, man? Come on, I'll sword fight you, man.
10 mind-bending examples.
Yeah, it's mind-bending, all right.
Jesus Christ, why? Hello?
Mace Windu died for your sins.
Have I ever told you about the weird racism in the Star Wars extended universe in regards to Mace Windu?
No.
So, Mace Windu is not a human in the Star Wars universe. He looks like a human, but he's part of a humanoid race that comes from a jungle planet where everybody looks like him, and they use the term Doshalo to refer to each other, which means brother. And a lot of them use spears.
That's a bit yikesy.
I think it's called Dark Planet or something like that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
They don't.
No.
Hold on.
No, it can't be that blatant. Come on.
Mace Windu EU. Mace Windu's planet. Haroon Call. Let's see here. Which book is Haroon Call in? Which?
Okay, that's enough of that hat, but I guess I still owe Jassa. This is the Fascinators for you, Jassa.
Haroon Call, region, flora, native species. Foreign.
Olivia Williams says Wikipedia lists him as human.
Okay, so they are. I'm remembering the words that they use differently. Let me see what the Star Wars Journeys, Beginnings, Jedi the Republic, Final Order. Okay, so it might just be in Shatterpoint that happened. But yeah, no, the book was weird. The book was very weird. There were interesting ideas in the book that I remember. Like Mace Windu got captured, and like everybody knew that a Jedi could kind of find their lightsaber in the Force. They'd kind of know generally where it was and could get it to them. So they just took his lightsaber, turned it on, and shoved it into a block of concrete and just started moving it around to discharge the battery. Because apparently that works.
I mean, at least they didn't like give him the middle name Shacklebolt.
Yeah, not as overtly racist as that. Oh, there was also that weird ableistic book where a Jedi found two people with Down syndrome and like rearranged the atoms in their brain to correct them. There's some weird stuff in the Star Wars EU.
Yeah.
There's some very weird stuff in the Star Wars EU.
I feel like that one at least had good intentions behind it.
Yeah, that one. But the weird part was that the characters were two like villainous thugs trying to catch her, like they were paid to catch her, and then she fixed their brains and suddenly they became good guys, which has some really bad implications.
Yeah,
Jassa.
I don't think the people that used a mystical force to rearrange brain atoms really care about whether or not it was chromosomal.
Also, Jassa, remember that these are with fiction. A lot of times, what an author will do is they will not call something what it is, but they will describe all of the symptoms of what something is.
So I doubt it used the word Down syndrome in the book.
It's like how AIDS exists in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, but it's not called AIDS. It's called NIDS.
Oh,
because in
Vulcan AIDS exists in Star Trek.
Jesus Christ!
Did you not know about Vulcan AIDS? That was a whole plot point in Enterprise.
No.
Where, T'Pol had Vulcan AIDS, and like the whole thing was like, oh, at this time, mind melds were seen as dangerous and something that Vulcans shouldn't do. And then there was a community of Vulcans that were doing mind melds, but it turned out that mind melds came with, like, if you didn't do them properly, they came with the risk of this degenerative neural disease.
Oh, so it's just that's the same way.
So what's I have mixed feelings about how they handled it though, because on the one hand, because they had okay, that's a hydrate. Thanks for the hydrate. So T'Pol got Vulcan AIDS essentially through rape. She was forced into a mind meld.
Okay.
And the way that she did come out on the other side of that as like, I'm not telling you whether or not it was voluntary because I feel like the people that have this disease deserve treatment no matter what. So it doesn't matter. But the way it was handled like before that was kind of like, oh, it's, you know, it really is only a thing that exists in this little community, and the way that it works its way out is through violent assault. So it's like, that's not a great allegory for AIDS with that aspect of it, but I get what they were going for.
It makes sense though that they would go the neurological route, not only because it's Vulcans, but like that's the same way that the Sonic series went with it. They literally just said, hey, it's NIDS, neurological immunodeficiency disorder. And that was how they introduced I'm waiting to see what happens with the third Sonic movie that's coming out, because it's the introduction of Shadow the Hedgehog. And Shadow's original backstory was he was created to try to solve the AIDS crisis.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to deal with that in the movie.
Yeah, create an immortal being whose genes are perfect to see if somehow we can like splice that away from them and use it to cure AIDS patients. That was literally the origin of Shadow the Hedgehog. So I don't think that's what they're going to do in the movie.
So we've been streaming for 20 minutes yet now and haven't even touched on any of the subjects.
I had to dress in a Sonic onesie, to be fair.
I know, but that was the least of our distractions, buddy.
You know what? You're not wrong. Naki Bree says, how does Blizzy factor into that then? The Biolizard was a prototype to Shadow the Hedgehog.
Wait, Blizzy is an actual Sonic character? I thought that was a character you had like designed specifically for your channel.
Nope, it's a little plush version of the Biolizard from Sonic Adventure 2, who was the prototype for Shadow.
I'm less impressed with that now.
You're less impressed with that now?
I thought that was a you thing. And I was like, that's cute that he's got his little pet.
That is entirely I am a fan of the Sonic series thing.
One of the Hollow Knight players, I think it's Scurry. I'm pretty sure it's Scurry, has like a little cat ferret thing that like when there's a long segment of just walking, he'll like turn it on with walking music that plays, and it's cute and adorable, and that I'm pretty sure that's his thing. Their thing. Scurry is non-binary. Hollow Knight community is like wholesome as fuck. Like
I'm sending you a picture real quick on WhatsApp.
Oh, I gotta switch desktops for that, and every time I switch desktops, it's a gamble as to whether or not.
Why not just use Discord then?
Because I would also have Discord on my desktop that I don't use while streaming.
Ah, fair enough.
So, okay, that doesn't really look that much like the thing that you have on your channel.
No, the one that I had Yarakoro design was a very like tiny plushy version of what the Biolizard is in Sonic. The Biolizard in Sonic is pure evil. It tries to kill it tries to do genocide. Like, it's bad.
Okay. So news stories we're not covering. We're back to this segment. Trump has been sharing a lot of QAnon posts on his social medias that are calling for the prosecution and jailing of his political rivals. So this is where every accusation from them is a confession.
Yep.
So any like Trump commits crimes, gets in trouble for committing crimes, and is like, oh, they're just prosecuting me because I'm their political rivals, but I need to throw them all in jail. And I literally started my political career chanting "lock her up" to Hillary Clinton because I wanted to jail my political rivals.
It's weird how often Trump flip-flops on shit like this, though. So, like, okay, he originally did the whole throw her in jail thing, and then if you've been hearing him recently, he's been saying during his speeches, I would never try to get Hillary Clinton locked up. Imagine how terrible that would be. Jailing the wife of a U.S. president would be horrible. I would never do that. If you've heard him say that.
How much you want to bet Melania made him say that?
Look,
if you want another blowjob, you'll say that you do not lock me up. I don't know why Melania is German in my.
Jesus Christ!
I don't know that. I don't do accents. I'm sorry.
the other thing that he's flip-flopped on, like, 'cause that reminds me, if I'm gonna ADHD down the Trump area, he flip-flopped repeatedly in the last few months on the abortion shit, right?
Yeah.
How he would go from no, they said it needed to be a 6 weeks thing, and I think that's much too soon. It's much too soon. We need to work on getting that expanded. And then like 2 weeks later, he'll go, no, I'm going to reaffirm everything the Supreme Court said. Everything.
Yeah, and then when someone backed him off, I got to change hats now. And so when someone backed him into a corner about voting on the Florida referendum, his answer was 6 weeks is too short, so I would vote for more than 6 weeks. It's like that's not the referendum. You don't get to say 6 weeks or longer. It's either overturn the abortion ban or not. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah, it's so weird to listen to anything he says right now, because you can tell that all he's doing is playing audience.
He's trying to, but he's not doing very good at it.
He's not doing a very good job of it.
Like, he is alienating not just the undecided voters, which I don't, to live in the mind of an undecided voter in this election cycle, like, how is that even possible? But anyways, they exist somehow. But like, he's not appealing to them, but he's also losing his own base by trying to appeal to them. So like, Nick Fuentes just posted, like, Right Wing Walks just posted a video with Nick Fuentes calling Donald Trump out for, I forget exactly what it was. Like, you're losing the white supremacists. That's your base.
His wasn't his exact words like, I've got 10,000 voters right here. I've got 10,000 people who aren't going to vote for you now.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's like, on the one hand, that sounds like a very small number. But on the other hand, I forget which, I think it was New Hampshire? One of the swing states in the last election, the margin was 3,000 votes. Between it going to, and that's what made it go to Biden. So like, 10,000 votes doesn't sound like a lot until you remember
depends how they're distributed.
It depends on how those votes get distributed. Like, it's weird.
So also news that we're not covering, the Churchill thing, Daryl Cooper interview with Tucker Carlson.
The Hitler versus Churchill shit.
Churchill is the actual villain of World War II, which I see what he was going for, because Churchill was a piece of shit. Like, he gets put up on this pedestal because of the World War II stuff, because he did so well during World War II. But
that
he
would
was
be like
not
putting Stalin on a pedestal.
Yeah, Churchill was not a good person. Like, he was charismatic and he did a good job for Britain in World War II. But everything outside of World War II, he was a piece of shit. And like, I get like, and part of his argument was that Churchill was in charge of, or like, he had a position in the Admiralty in World War I that one of the decisions they made was to blockade Germany and starve them out. And that blockade existed for a lot longer than it needed to, and Churchill was no longer in charge while it was continuing on, but whatever. But like, he basically said, like, because Churchill starved a bunch of like German civilians, Hitler grew up in that era seeing his loved ones starving to death because of the oppression of other countries, and that is what turned him into the monster that he became. But it's like, that is
a weird way to word it.
So that's one of those things where, like, even, like, I get what you're going for, but, like, also, you're saying that on Tucker Carlson. Conservatives generally would be, like, I mean, we all know they're a bunch of hypocrites that don't actually practice what they preach, but one of the things they're constantly talking about is personal responsibility. It doesn't matter what your upbringing was, you are responsible for your own actions. So in light of that, it doesn't matter what Churchill did to Germany and during World War I. Hitler chose to do the things that he did. And like, yeah, maybe he would have chosen differently had Britain acted differently in World War I. But like, also, that doesn't excuse what Hitler did.
Sidebar. I remember now, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now saying what I was not misremembering the Mace Windu isn't a human bit. It's because Mace Windu's race in Shatterpoint is explicitly called the Karun. They are called the Koronai people. That is their race.
That's so close to a slur.
They are considered
that is so close to a slur,
race. They are considered a separate race of human beings. That is what they are considered.
Called the Karoons?
K-O-R-U-N.
Oh.
Yep.
I would call that Karun just to get it away from the slur.
Just to get it away from it?
Yeah. Let's call it Karuns.
We'll go with Karuns. But, you know, that's... So I wasn't misremembering that. I did some digging while I was here and saying, no, that is exactly what it says in that book.
That is kind of yikesy. Fennec's like, I checked out for a moment and what?
You know,
me too, Fennec. Me too.
The context is I remembered a Star Wars book that I enjoyed the story of the book, but it had some very racist undertones that I caught. And then somebody in chat was like, but Wikipedia lists Mace Windu as a human. So I was like, oh, maybe it didn't have the racist undertones that I thought. So I looked into it a little more and went, oh, no, it did. It 100% did. Whether that was intentional or not doesn't matter. It was 100%
you lost,
the book.
You lost Fennec. Fennec's going back to shopping for shit that they don't need. Okay. And also... we're not covering this, at least not today, because like the news is too fresh and there's always errors in reporting when it's this fresh, but there was the school shooting like an hour away from Surus.
I was seeing that everywhere on Twitter right now because Marjorie Taylor Greene immediately went into the thoughts and prayers. Let's not do anything about what happened. Absolutely no. Yeah,
never mind that the congressperson for the district that it happened in, his first ever ad involved him wielding an assault rifle and like blowing up a dummy with it after like being like, oh, this is what, you know, like it wasn't explicitly this is what we are going to do to immigrants, but that was the message that it was seemed to be going for. So like, it's not great. But yeah, I'm not going to be talking about that because the news is too fresh. We don't have enough information, and like there hasn't been time for the appropriate fact checking. So yeah, that's it for news stories that we're not covering. For stories that we are covering, we're going to start with me finding my button. There we go. My partner tells me I'm good at finding the button. In Washington state, atheists are more beloved than Republicans. So you know those surveys that always talk about how like atheists are like the least trusted group? Mm-hmm. And like, would you vote for someone if they were an X and then they fill in different things for the blank? And atheists is like always the lowest ranked one because everybody hates atheists. Well, in Washington state, they did one of those things statewide, and atheists were only the second most hated group. Republicans were the most hated groups. Yeah, so I'm like, this is just like background stuff about other surveys or whatever. So last month, a group called DHM Research surveyed 500 residents in Washington state to gauge their opinions about a variety of issues that include asking them about their feelings about various politically relevant groups like gun owners, immigrants, transgender people, etc. They were asked how they felt about those groups on a scale of 0, hate them, to 100, love them. So they disliked Republicans. Republicans got an average score of 44.6, and atheists got 50.1. So, and Republicans were the only group that got an average that was under 50.
I'll take that W. You know, it's not as big of a W as I would have liked, but I'll gladly take it. Yeah. I'm glad that somebody found the votes
we are a minority group that is hated slightly less than Republicans.
You know, you have to wonder though. Where is the Venn diagram when it comes to hating atheists? Where on the one hand, there's the Christians who are told that they shouldn't hate us, but they should love us in a way that oddly resembles hate, right?
Yeah.
And on the other side of the Venn diagram, there's the people who don't hate atheists, but they hate the idea of an atheist that's explained to them. Like, so they went on r/atheism on Reddit and they don't like the people that are there, and suddenly that's all the atheists.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering which type of atheist these people hate when they're thinking of an atheist, personally.
Yeah. So this should mention, this is from Friendly Atheist blog, Hammett Meta, who is officially a good friend of mine because I met him once and took a selfie with him.
Yay! We took a leap from acquaintance in BFF territory.
Him and Aaron Ra are literally cuddling each other in the group selfie that I got.
No,
it's kind of adorable. It's kind of adorable.
I have to. I guess I can't one up you with Aaron Ra, but I can at least say that the scariest moment of my life was being in a car in Texas with Aaron Ra. I mean, he drives very aggressively.
So,
that's all I'm saying.
Okay, this was at BajaCon in Sarnia, and it ended with like a cruise. Not really a cruise. You just go on a boat for a couple hours and eat sandwiches and like mingle with people.
Close enough.
Yeah. It was a 3-hour tour. But yeah. So we go to the cruise. We go to the ship or whatever, and Aaron Ra was driving a Rivian, which, if you don't know, is an electric pickup truck. The Rivian is the company that's the only thing they make is the Rivian. It looks way better than the fucking Cybertruck, which I've now seen 2 out in the wild. But like, he like, and when I saw him driving the Rivian, I immediately, like, the first thing in my brain was like, oh, that tracks. Because like, it's Aaron Ra. He seems like a truck kind of guy. But he's also like, I could totally see him being an electric vehicle kind of guy as well. So like, electric truck, why not? But it turned out he was just like borrowing that from like someone else that went to the conference was like, hey, I have a Rivian, do you want to drive it? And he was like, yes. And like, he was telling the story about how he got on the highway and like floored it so he could feel the torque that you get with the electric vehicle. And he's like, I don't know why these people are obsessed with gas cars, like the electric, like, so much better. And like, I don't know, it was fun. But so
Aaron's a fun guy to hang around, I'm not gonna lie. We had a conversation about expanding our palettes for hot stuff, because when I was in Texas with him, we went to it's a crab shack, but they're known for their ghost pepper sauces. And so I got ghost pepper wings, so I wasn't feeling crab. So we kind of had a conversation about that.
So Aaron doesn't do well with taking direction, though. It's like, so you know that video that I put out with Cameron Bertuzzi was like using ChatGPT to transvestigate the boxer. So I went around at BajaCon and got all the speakers to be like, this is what I'm doing. So like, this is the context it's going to be used in. So I'm not going to just like take your shit and put it in some random something and make you look bad or whatever. But like, this is exactly what I'm doing with it. And everybody was like, yeah, dude, this is none of your fucking business. None of your, like, whatever. They would do the thing. I got to Aaron, and he just, like, I explained what I'm doing with it, and he goes off and he gives like this long detailed explanation of like how like the tests that they're saying they have for Imane Khalif don't necessarily mean what they are saying they mean, and like he's like going off on this technical explanation or whatever. And I was just like, okay, but like, my whole thing with this video is I'm not taking it seriously, so can I please just get a clip of you being like, I don't fucking care, or is like something like that. And the clip that I used from Aaron was actually him saying that like he just doesn't care about sports.
Because you had to find it somewhere. Yeah.
And so he's just like, I don't fucking care. And he just burst out laughing because I was trying to get him to say a thing. And he was like, okay, you know, I can use that. And I kind of want to just like release the whole thing. But like, the whole point of that was that I'm not taking Cameron seriously. So like, as much as I hate having cut the first part of that, it still worked in the video. And I hope he doesn't get mad at me for misusing it like that.
Technically misrepresenting him with clips.
That is technically not what Aaron was responding to when he said the thing that he said in my video that I used. But anyway, back to your point with regards to this article, what Hemant says, that people used to fear atheists because they didn't know any and relied on negative stereotypes about them. So it was more that like, when religion was more dominant in the States, the people that were actually not religious were not as comfortable being out about not being religious. And so
they had a bunch of stereotypes.
The only way that people knew what an atheist was what their pastor says an atheist was. And what the pastor says an atheist is it's someone who is hateful and spiteful and just doesn't want to, or just wants to sin
You can tell they don't have the Spirit of the Lord in them. And the Bible tells us you will be able to know them by their works.
Yeah.
Because I remember that conversation from my pastor.
Oh, so I'm poking around in Mere Christianity because I'm considering doing a series on it. And fucking C.S. Lewis, man. Like, I don't know. Like, he hung around with J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien was brilliant person. Brilliant
Is that why
author.
Narnia feels like a ripoff of Tolkien?
Well, they were bouncing ideas off each other all the time. If it wasn't for C.S. Lewis, Tolkien might never have published Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis was constantly bugging him, like, hey, no, like, it's great the way but, like, Tolkien was a perfectionist, so he's like, no, I need to get everything absolutely right. Oh, there's the hat. Another hat.
I'm already in mine for the day.
Yeah, let's go Octo hat. I'm gonna try and get the Octo hat over the headphones this time because it always gets uncomfortable under them. But yeah, no. So C.S. Lewis was like, we might not have Lord of the Rings if it wasn't for C.S. Lewis. But like, sometimes he was just an idiot. Like, I'm reading Mere Christianity, and he literally said, like, for context, this book was written in the 1940s during the height of World War II. Like, this is based on radio broadcasts that he did during World War II. This was meant to, like, boost morale in Britain while they were being bombed, while the Nazis were at their height. And so he says, though there are differences between the moral ideas of one time or country and those of another, the differences are not really very great. Says the guy writing while Nazi Germany is at its height.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? The Nazis' moral system isn't that different from the rest of the world? What? But he's also like, he is so good at undercutting his own point. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm reading through it, and like, he'll talk about how, like, people say, like, oh, like, in explaining how, like, we all have the same moral law that we're following, he then talks about how, like, yeah, and guess what? Societies have progressed morally over time. So we look back in time and we see societies and we disagree with their morals, and then as time goes on, they get closer and closer to what our morals are, and that's proof that that society is getting towards the true moral absolutes.
But wait, hold on.
And it's just like, didn't you just say that no societies,
the Nazi wasn't that far away?
Like, yeah, no, like, they're not all that different from ours because we all have the one moral law that we all know already, so we wouldn't need to progress towards it. We all just already have it. Like, didn't you just say that?
To a degree, though, if you think about the way that, like, the United States may be a little more so in this case, but Britain as well, there are a lot of those same, like, xenophobic tendencies that did underpin those societies that were shared with Nazi Germany. Like, we had the brown coat movement in the United States. Like, we had our own mini Nazi parties literally floating around. Not even the ones that everybody knows. Everybody knows about the KKK and how they were Nazi sympathizers as well.
They're also where the police came from.
Yeah.
Just historically, that's the origin of police departments, was KKK organizations.
But, well, actually, it wasn't KKK
slave hunters. It was slave hunters.
Slave hunters.
Yeah.
Which predate the KKK as we know it.
They became the KKK and then they became the police.
Right, because the Ku Klux Klan came in as a response to black people getting their rights in America.
What about the Gazpacho police?
What about the Gazpacho police? Look, I prefer the Gorbanzo police. Okay. But no, like, I can understand a little bit of where he's coming from if you're looking at the broader context of how a lot of our societies operated. Like, we had a thriving eugenics movement in the United States. Mm-hmm. A thriving eugenics movement. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like maybe I haven't read the book that you're reading, so I can't play proper defense here.
So the last time I read it, I was a Christian, and I thought it was pretty good. And I'm reading it now, and I'm just like, wow, this is shit. And like,
I read Leviathan.
I only just read the first 2 chapters, and in those first 2 chapters, he's talking about how like this moral principle, the moral law that he's talking about, that is the foundation of the rest of the book. So like he admits in it that like if I'm wrong about this, the rest of the book doesn't matter. So and he undercuts his own goddamn point. So yeah, the rest of the book doesn't matter. But yeah. Anyway, back to the story. We actually have things to talk about today.
Real quick, Tano's channel says, sorry, don't have much time to stay and listen. I found your channel while looking up builds for a budget Haymaker deck. Love your budget videos and can't wait to see what else you come up with. Awesome, Tanos. Well, nice. This particular conversation's a little more heavy-handed than my Magic the Gathering content, but I appreciate you stopping by nonetheless.
Yeah, we don't normally get into the technicalities of C.S. Lewis and his apologetics for Christianity while talking about a card game.
I mean, typically we don't talk about the card game because I haven't yet suckered Vice Rhino into playing the card game.
I don't know anything about the card game.
I've been trying for months. If y'all would like to help me peer pressure him.
I feel like that's the thing that we would have to do in person.
Spell Table exists.
I don't know what that is.
Spell Table is Wizards of the Coast's. It's a webcam app that scans the cards on your table, so that you can click on a card on somebody else's video feed, and it'll show you what the card is and does, and any rulings.
Like more trouble than it's worth.
It's anyway, you just click a thing.
Danny Westnut, you set up a camera first, make sure it can see your deck and all that shit.
Okay, cool. So done.
Yeah, you don't know what my desk looks like.
You know, you're right. I don't know what your desk looks like, but you know what, actually, I have an idea of what your desk looks like because I remember when you specifically set your camera angle so that it didn't find the clutter of your office.
My office and my desk are 2 different things.
I understand, but often
so what's
how
actually
clean one is reflects the rest.
One of the things I'm actually a little bit impressed with myself on, with regards to, like, is how clean my setup looks. Like when I'm filming, I'm up against that wall. And now, like here, you see, I got the picture on the floor, but that, like, I did, like, that's on purpose. That's behind the dog bed. I thought for some reason the other picture would be more visible on stream, but that's like my grandfather painted Eliandonan Castle, and we're painting the hallway where that normally hangs. So I brought it in here, and I'm like, I can show that off on stream, but it's not visible. So, fuck me, I guess. But yeah, the fact that like I can have such organization behind me, sort of like the shelves are kind of in order, and like when I'm recording, my shelves over there look kind of in order. Everything else in this room is a disaster.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like ADHD is to blame.
Anything outside of the camera's viewfinder is just a mess. But
yeah, that sounds about right. That's about where I am.
Back to the story we've been allegedly talking about this whole time.
Allegedly.
Danny Westneat, a columnist for Seattle Times and a non-religious person himself, says, Republicans, take it from me, if you're below the atheists, you're having a major brand perception crisis.
Yeah.
So the reasons for this were not explored. My sense, which I've stated repeatedly in this space, is that it's the complete takeover of the party by Donald Trump and his MAGA movement has made it toxic to the lion's share of voters here. So yeah, believe it or not, most Republicans don't really like the MAGA thing. They're voting Republican because like the values of the party have typically lined up with theirs. And even like the MAGA wing of it has still kind of shared those values, but it is getting to a point where like the moderate Republicans are like, no, I'm tired of this shit. And they are either going to vote for Harris or they're going to stay home. And like Nick Fuentes, not a moderate by any stretch of the imagination, is also like, he hasn't said that he's not voting for Trump, but he's been very critical of Trump.
Yeah, it's what I would have hoped for, right? The ideal where Trump is concerned is that he moved far enough away from the white supremacists that he was considered not votable by them. The reality is He's trying to appeal to whoever he happens to be in the fucking room. And so he just happens to say things that a white supremacist streamer doesn't agree with on a particular day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, but he's also getting, like... I don't know if, like, his mental state is deteriorating. Like, I've seen a lot of speculation about that. Yeah, probably. But you can't... Like, I am a very firm proponent of don't diagnose people that you've never met. It's like, you don't know what they're like when the camera's not on. But, like, judging by what we've seen on camera, he seems to be struggling with the idea of, like, even considering people exist outside of his perception. So, like...
Yep.
And he's not even really good at appealing to the people that are in the room anymore. Like, his own supporters are leaving the stadium when he starts going on his, as Naramda puts, has just super chatted, electric shark boat rants.
Or his recent rants about, like, he's always ranted about audience size. He's always ranted about that, but, like...
Did you see Obama's dick joke thing? Where he's like, and Donald Trump is, obsessed with size.
The one that he did at the DNC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch every single minute of the DNC stuff, but I did have it on in the background while I was making breakfast, so I could catch up on it.
I've watched barely any of them, but I had to go searching for the Obama clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's the main thing, is that in Washington, atheists are not as hated as Republicans, which I guess that's a win. And I get, like, Washington is a blue state. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So, like, if they did this nationally, I doubt that the result would be the same.
Any win is a win at this point.
Yeah, the main point of the article, though, is that, like, Washington might be firmly blue, but there are red districts. Like, they do have Republican Congress people in some locations. But, like, it's gotten to the point where, like, they might not anymore because... being a Republican is seen as such a bad thing because of the Republicans' ties to Trump.
Well, as the Republicans get more and more extreme, it's very hard to distance the idea of a Republican from the facsimile of a Republican. Most of the people who I know are right-wing in Georgia right now will not call themselves that at the moment. A lot of them are saying that they are centrist or apolitical, like they're using other. That has been a tactic of
the right wing for ages now, though.
I'm not talking about the right wing as a whole, though. I'm talking about, like, regular fucking Joe Schmoes who don't want to be seen like KKK members. Like that's the people who I talk to in Georgia are just regular fucking people. And that's what they're doing right now, because they're looking at people like Trump and they're seeing an extremist. Even they're like, this is a very big difference politically from what we saw in, say, 2016, right?
Yeah.
The willingness to wear
difference.
So like Jassa in my chat yesterday mentioned that, you can find the Trump supporters in the Georgia Capitol, they're wearing MAGA hats. And I just went, no, they're not. I've been to the Capitol, and most people there are not fucking stupid enough to wear one. It's a very, very strange thing when you consider that Georgia, swing state as it may be, still generally can be a red state. And even with that, our Capitol people are still not doing that, even if you might expect it.
Yeah, there's just a couple loud ones, which one of them happens to be your representative.
Look, so the next time that there is a campaign, the next campaign to try to oust Marjorie, I'm going to see if I can get involved with whichever politician the Democratic Party puts up this time and try to try to get her out.
We can just, like, full on have a fundraiser.
Yeah, we can.
We can do a Twit Tweets fundraiser for get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And, like, the thing that sucks is that the person who I wanted to go against Marjorie Taylor Greene got ousted by the Democratic Party. It was Brittany Tenenbaum. I tagged her on the channel because I wanted the opinion of, like, how things are going there. So I'm not even fully confident in our local Democratic Party, but I still want Marjorie gone, and I want to do whatever the fuck I can to get her out. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Next story. JD Vance. New audio reveals JD Vance accusing childless left of trying to brainwash the minds of our children.
This is when he was saying teachers that don't have kids are trying to.
Sir, why you gotta spoil the story?
Because I've already reported on it.
Fuck you, Cyrus. Fuck. What are we even doing here? What are we even doing here?
Our best.
Anyway, this was sent to me by Anonymous, but apparently you already know all the deets.
I'm sorry. The long and short of it, though, is there is one teacher who JD Vance was specifically attacking
she was
with those comments.
The head of a teachers union.
Yes. And she actually did end up speaking about this afterwards as well, noting that this is not just a JD Vance thing. This is a common thing that she has dealt with for a decently long time.
Thanks for the hydrate steel jewels.
So, like, maybe not necessarily numb to these attacks, but certainly used to these attacks because they come from more than just JD Vance.
Yeah, so here's the thing, though. Like, when it comes to teaching kids and educating children, that's not the same as raising children. And Republicans are often the first people to point this out. They're like, "Oh, we shouldn't be relying on the school system to raise our kids." And
but you never did. I
agree with the sentiment there. I don't necessarily agree with all the values that my kids' teachers have. It's nice when they do happen to line up, because then I have like an extra level of trust for like my kids' teachers or whatever. But like when it comes to like building their character, that's a thing that happens primarily at home. But like educating them, that's a science. That's a learned skill. That is a thing that you can learn how to do whether or not you have kids. You can go to school to learn how to educate people.
Like one of the criticisms that I have for JD here, and it's the same criticism I have for, of all people, classically Abby, because she made a video recently about why she wants to homeschool her kids and only wants to do that. And one of the reasons was leftist brainwashing, of course, right? The same thing that I said for that video is the same thing that I'll say here when it comes to JD Vance. To believe that you can homeschool your kid, as wonderful of a sentiment as it is, wanting to spend more time with your kid, wanting to instill your values in your kid, which you're going to be doing anyway, right? Whether or not they're in school. It is, however, a very arrogant position to take, and I'm willing to stand by that, because it is a position that is built on the idea that you have the expertise necessary to teach your child science, history, mathematics, and that last one, most parents are already not good at, because most of us forget all the maths we learned.
Do you know how to do long division, Cyrus?
What's up?
Do you know how to do long division?
I used to do long division for fun. So that one I do know. I
do not know that one. So yeah, I can actually speak to this as someone who did used to homeschool my kids. Mm-hmm. The reason I stopped homeschooling my kids was because it got to a point where, like, so the main reason was my oldest child kind of had us spoiled, and now they're like they've been diagnosed with some neurodivergence that kind of explain why this happened. But they are very self-directed when it comes to learning stuff that they are actually interested in. And so a lot of times we could just like put the workbook in front of them. There's the thing that explains it at the beginning. They would read that, figure it out, understand it, do the exercises, and it was great. So they would just be self-taught. And you, like with yeah, obviously we'd have to help them sometimes to like understand things that they like didn't quite figure out. Oh, Sean Helfin, I miss Math Blaster. I loved Math Blaster. That was such a fun game. I mean, I remember it being a fun game. If I were to install it and run it now, I'd just be like, what the fuck is this shit? But I loved Math Blaster as a kid. But yeah, no, so they would basically educate themselves. But then my second child did not have that same disposition. And within a couple years of after them starting actual, like, we need to teach you stuff school, it was like, yeah, so we can't do this. We are incapable of doing this. So I am going to send them to the school system because
so that they can do it.
Yeah, because because that was like we were probably in the minority in that we were not homeschooling for religious reasons. Like even I think I was still religious when we started, but it wasn't for religious reasons that we were homeschooling. It was just like the idea was like a one-on-one education is going to be like, all else being equal, when there's one teacher and one student, the student's going to get a better education than when there's one teacher and 20 students.
Mm-hmm.
But all else is not always equal. And so like we went into it with the mindset of like, as soon as we start struggling with this, as soon as we start feeling like we cannot, like we're having trouble providing a quality education to our kids, they are going to the school system. And it was our second child that did that, because it's like, okay, well, the first one, we just slap the book in front of them and they just learn the stuff. The second one doesn't want to do anything that we are telling them to do. Like,
so you need somebody who's professionally trained in getting them to listen to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like I 100% respect parents who are willing to try to do homeschooling, but there is still that hint of arrogance there as far as I'm concerned, that you have the expertise in all of the fields necessary in order to do that. And
so
there you go.
Going into it, it was never in our minds that we would homeschool all the way through high school. And when I found out that there are people that do that, that just like, that blew my mind, because I'm like, why? Like, no, I don't remember all the stuff that I learned in high school. Do you think I can teach that shit anymore? Of course not. What the fuck? Like, arguably, the stuff that I learned in high school biology class is more useful to me than to anyone else that was in high school biology class. Because, like, I actually use that for my work now. But I still don't remember most of it. Like, most of it was focused on like the nitty-gritty molecular machines and shit like that, that actually, like, I still take like the bird's eye view of everything. I don't have to get into like the molecular chemistry aspect of it. But yeah, no, I had never, like, it blew my mind when I found out that there are people that actually homeschool all the way through high school. But
yeah, it's like, and I understand that the common argument is, oh, well, how will your kids socialize? That's usually the first one that's brought up. And I'm the older I get, the more I realize that's not really a great argument, because I went to a private school where I wasn't allowed to socialize. It was a roll of the dice during PE if we were able to speak at all. If it was a competitive sport we weren't allowed to speak, and we weren't allowed to talk during lunch except for the last 5 minutes of lunch.
John 73 John remembers the one thing we all remember from biology class is that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
It is the powerhouse of the cell. And the one thing I remember from math class was, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
I don't remember that. I just remember negative b plus or minus squared root of b squared minus 4acl over 2a.
So you never did PEMDAS for your order of operations?
You mean BEDMAS?
What the fuck is BEDMAS? PEMDAS.
Brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction.
Yeah, for it wasn't said. Ravi says ruffle. Why are you? So Ravi is one of my mods, and he's actually a math teacher, so he's probably got some words for both of us right now.
So okay, my understanding of the whole PEDMAS thing is that essentially it's shorthand that allows people to be lazy, because everything that you want to be done first should be in brackets.
Well, right. So the reason that we had PEMDAS is because the P was for parentheses instead of brackets. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so like we did BEDMAS where it was brackets, exponents, multiplication or division, multiplication. So we put the division first, but division, multiplication happen in the order in which they appear. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Ravi says, no, I'm just trying not to fillet a handgun. Ravi, you should at least be happy that your contributions up to this point stuck me in a Sonic onesie while I make fun of JD Vance.
Hitchmeister, we know that parentheses and brackets are the same thing.
Right, but it's the different ways that our schooling systems taught us when it comes to math. Just a very, very different method. Technically the same method, but with little idiosyncrasy differences. But yeah, that's why I said
But this is how like all those problems you see on social media is like oh, solve this math problem, and it's like something that looks super simple, but everybody has like two different answers. No, because a lot of them are written specifically to be ambiguous, and if they actually used brackets properly, that would just take the ambiguousness away. And Fennec also remembers the quadratic equation to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. I didn't learn it to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel, but I did learn it as a song.
I'm trying to remember how I learned the quadratic formula, because I remember struggling with learning it, and then there was a phonetic that I figured out that caused me to remember it, and now it's gone. It's gone now. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, Fennec says, I don't remember what it's for, but I remember it. Yeah, same here. Main reason I remember it, not just because of the song, but also because they made us buy graphing calculators, and I got mad because the graphing calculators were like $150, and we basically didn't use them all year in class, despite them being required. So my mindset was like, okay, if they're going to force us to buy these fancy calculators, I'm going to find a use for them. So I actually cheated on the test by like all of the formulas that we were supposed to have memorized for the test. I put them into the calculator, but I didn't just put them in the calculator. I programmed them in so that they would solve the equations for me. So like you still have to show your work and do the stuff or whatever, but I could at least use the calculator to verify that I got the right answer. But I accidentally taught myself. So through the process of trying to cheat on the test, I accidentally turned it into studying and actually understood the test. So that was actually more useful than if I just memorized it. So like now I still have it memorized, but I also figured out how to program a fucking calculator.
Anyway, I knew how to type boobs in it.
Yeah.
I learned how to use the parentheses in it to make like what looked like actual tits, and everybody had different ways of making tits in the calculator, and we all fought over which one looked closer to an actual cleavage.
I took computer programming in college, and in our mathematics course that was specific for computer stuff, so you got into like translating numbers between decimal, binary, and hex. I remember being impressed with the professor because like he asked like, oh, somebody shout out a number and I'll translate it into hex for you. And some guys in the class shouted out a number. And I forget what the number is, but I'm sure it's easy enough to figure out. But like the professor just like, he wrote the number that they wrote, and then he just looked at it for a second and he was like, okay, no, I'm not doing that one. And of course, as soon as he said that, everybody in the class set to work in figuring out what that was, and it was the number that when you translate it into hexadecimal is B00B. So he didn't have that number memorized, he just did it in his head, and he was like, nope, not doing it. Sorry, you don't fool me. But of course, in saying that, he then got everybody to like self-assign some homework, be like, why isn't he doing that number? Oh, it's because it's boobs.
Real quick, Rhino, question. Do you have anything up right now on Twit Tweets or otherwise for us to talk about the
45067?
For us to talk about the DOJ and Tenet Media?
No, I don't have that.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about it?
So this is as of 22 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, I been looking for stories in the last 22 minutes?
No, there's stuff about it from other earlier points, but CNN just put its thing up about it 22 minutes ago. I think the last one was like 3 hours prior. But so Tim Pool 2 hours ago just had to do an entire post disavowing Tenet Media, which is a media corporation that owns some like stock of his company. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. It's apparently they have not control, but his Culture War podcast is licensed by Tenet Media, so there is some like there's some connection there. There's currently an indictment from the Department of Justice to Tenet Media about them being a fucking Russia plant agency. So, no, there's not full information on this yet, but there is enough information in the water for me to smell something very off.
Tim Pool is trying to distance himself from Russian propaganda, basically.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So, yeah, that's well, I'll be looking into that to do some reporting on it myself then, I suppose. Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, anyway, so if you're unfamiliar with what JD Vance said, so he said, so many of the leaders of the left, and I hate to be so personal about this, but they're people without kids trying to brainwash the minds of our children. And then he went on to slam American Federation of Teachers boss Randy Weingarten, insisting she doesn't have a single child. If she wants to brainwash and destroy the minds of children, she should have some of her own and leave ours the hell alone. So this gets back into people who are trying to educate children and impart knowledge in them are not the same as the people who are raising children. Those are two separate jobs. The parents still raise the children. And like, you don't need to have children of your own to understand how to get children to understand concepts. Like, teaching a child is not the same as raising a child. You don't need to have a child in order to know how to teach a child.
Yep, it's like there is expertise required to be able to impart knowledge in a way that sticks with a kid, and it's not necessarily the same skill set as teaching a kid, say, like good moral values.
A lot of parents don't have that skill set. A lot of parents don't have the skill set to be parents, to be honest.
I mean, most honest parents will tell you, in terms of preparation for having a kid, they have
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Exactly. Like most honest parents will let you know that they are winging it. Sometimes it works out really well. And sometimes it doesn't. Also, Nova Luxrin, thank you for the hydrate. I am down to only ice in my thermos right now. But
Scott Delahunt says 500 Quatlus says that Vance left his wife to do all the child raising. So while I was doing the research into this, I stumbled across an interview with Vance where he was trying to defend this statement. And one of the things that he said in that interview was, "My wife has 3 kids." Be like,
okay, you might have a friend who's black. You can still be racist.
Yeah, but I'm just like, no, but
your niece is homosexual. You obviously can't be homophobic.
It's the whole, my wife has 3 kids. He doesn't even think of them as his own kids.
That reminds me of the fucking shit. Oh my god, this one pissed me off. So, when JD Vance was getting his story, right? The story he was so proud of for how he got the call to become vice president for Trump.
Yeah.
And how in the story he was in a hotel getting the call and having to shoo his son away, telling his son, "No, I don't want to hear about fucking Pikachu." Because his son was trying to show him some Pokemon stuff that he had recently caught that he thought was so cool. And he was basically shoving his son away for Trump, a person who he had previously said he didn't like and would never vote for and would never support.
So, to be fair, if you take away the whole, he actually said that Trump was a piece of shit that he would never vote for and would never support. If you take away that aspect of it, there are instances where I would be like, hey, I am working right now. So, like, yes, you can tell me all about what you built in Tears of the Kingdom, but like, not right this second.
Yeah, that's like, not the way. Like, that's not the way he worded it at all.
Okay,
though.
Fine, but yeah. So, but I when I saw him say that, like, I immediately showed my partner that and was like, so like, we're a blended family. I have 3 kids. She has 2 kids. When we talk to people, I have 5 kids. That's just how it is now. I have 5 kids. And when she talks to people, she has 5 kids. Because they are our kids. And like, this is like arguably the most socially acceptable scenario for me to say that, yeah, I have 3 kids and she has 2 kids. Because, like, that's just logistically how it happened originally. But, like, they're still my kids. And, like, they're young enough that, like, we were just doing the math on this. Like, one of them, I have known them for literally half their life. I've been their father figure. Yep. I mean, they still have a father, but, like...
But you're the one that's there with them all the time.
I'm the one... Well, no, it's a 50-50 split, but, like... So, the other... yesterday was the first day of school. And, yeah, they were not terribly comfortable with their dad. So just as an observation. And yeah, like they're kind of hostile towards me. But that's like an understandable, like, yeah, dad is dad and I'm the guy that kind of came along later and they don't quite know what to think of me. And I could see him shit talking me while they're with him.
Yep. Dorita Dave says bonus dad. You're the bonus dad.
So when we went to Mexico, this almost caused some problems at the border, but it was still like a heartwarming moment for me. Not the one who is like not the younger of the two who is kind of doesn't know what to think about me, and like I know that they like me, but they don't feel comfortable expressing that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of a weird dynamic. But the other one who's like, you know, I went away to BajaCon for the weekend. When I got home, he came downstairs, saw me, he was like, Papa! And jumped on me, a big hug or whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah, no, this one likes me. But when we went to Mexico, as we were crossing the land, I live right across the river from Buffalo, New York. So we flew out of Buffalo. We didn't fly out of Toronto. So as we crossed the land border between Canada and the US, border guard is like going through all our paperwork and everything. And so it's like, there's 7 of us. And like, so her kids don't even have the same last name as her. They have their father's last name. And
it seemed like a suspicious situation.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where like we have like a letter from him giving us permission to take the kids. I've got my wife's death certificate to show that I have permission to take my kids. And like all this, like, so there, like there's all this stuff going on or whatever as we're crossing the border. And as the border guard's like looking over our paper, he's in the back. He just looks out at the border guard and is like, I have 2 dads. I'm just like,
that sounds a whole lot like you're gay.
That's so amazing. And I love it. And that's great. I'm so happy that you think of me in that way. But at the border, border guard just kind of looked at us funny and like let us go or whatever. It wasn't a big deal, but like it could have become a big deal. He was like, oh, you have 2 dads. I only see one in the car with you right now. Where's the second one?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was wholesome.
Heartwarming, but bad timing.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, but that's my point though, is that JD Vance doesn't consider his kids to be his kids. They are his wife's kids. Whereas like I'm over here, like I have 5 kids and sometimes they think of me as their dad. Sometimes they don't. And that's okay.
It works out either way.
Yeah. Anyway.
Skeletal says listening to this while studying for a driver's test is something else.
The stop sign means you stop.
Generally speaking, yes.
The yield sign, you don't have to come to a complete stop, but if you come out in the intersection and somebody smashes into you, that's your fault.
The rule with the stop sign is very simple. It says stop, but that is a suggestion. And that suggestion can be ignored if you simply run over the sign first. That was
actually the first time I ever got pulled over by a cop was when I did a rolling stop at a stop sign. And like I was still a teenager and he was like giving me the 3rd degree about how dangerous that is and how that's a ticket that like in Ontario that carries like the maximum number of points you can, like demerit points you can get on your license, where like if you get 1 more point you'll lose your license. So that was fun. But also, so you back to my car. I don't mean to always talk about my new car that I love, but so electric car. It's got 1 pedal driving, and it's very good at doing what's called the chauffeur stop, which is like it can come to a complete stop without the little jerk that indicates like that you've come to a complete stop. And also, I thought at first, like when I test drove it, I'm like, oh, I did, like this was the first electric car I've ever driven. I'm just like, it doesn't really have like that whole like you push on the like. I'd heard that like as soon as you touch the pedal, you just like go, and it's like torque immediately. And everybody goes nuts for that, but apparently everybody just floors it at the stoplight when they go or whatever, because like if you just drive it normally, it just feels normally, but it can go. But I didn't know that it could go like that until I was already owning it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try flooring it. It's like, yeah, I probably could beat the guy in the Mustang, but whatever. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about JD Vance.
I've got far more things I want to say about him, but not right now.
So much we can say about JD Vance, but we do have to eventually end the stream. But we're going to go on. Female dart players threatened with disciplinary action for refusing to play transgender rivals. I'm not going to read a lot of this article because this it says it came from Yahoo, and this was on Yahoo. This was sent to me by Mark Fernkopf, the same guy who sent this. But Yahoo is just reposting something from the Telegraph, which if you are familiar with the Telegraph, it's a very right-wing anti-trans propaganda rag. So I'm not going to this comes off very much in the anti-trans camp of things, but so first off, it's fucking darts. Like if there is a sport that you can say that like yeah, I get it. There are some sports where you can say like men on average have like more muscle mass or whatever the fuck. So like in weightlifting, maybe it should be gender segregated, or at least done by weight class or something. But like, this is fucking darts. There is no skill involved in playing darts that is in any way enhanced by whether or not you have a penis, or what your testosterone levels, or what, like, you don't take steroids to get good at darts.
Yeah, at most you might take a stimulant. You might take some caffeine.
Yeah,
but that's about the most I could think.
Yeah, no, like darts is not. And so if you go back into the history of sports, even with the stuff where men supposedly have an advantage, the reason that these sports are segregated are because when the league started becoming professional and it started becoming a thing that you could do as a job, women started beating the shit out of men. And so men were like, nope, can't have that. So they split them off into separate groups because the women were a threat to the men, and the men couldn't be seen as losing to women. So like the whole reason that segregated sports exist is because of fragile masculinity.
We didn't like losing to girls.
Exactly. That's it. So like, I am very, like, I don't care about sports, so I haven't really looked into it all that much, but I am very skeptical of the claim that the advantage that men have over women in sports is actually meaningful, given that the reason sports are segregated is because the women kept beating the men.
Look, okay, we don't like it when we get beat by women.
Okay,
what we like.
Okay, sirs, I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the clip episode of this where nobody knows why you're wearing a Sonic onesie, and you're sitting there talking about masculinity in your Sonic onesie.
Don't you understand, brother?
Oh, that one just went live. It's doing fairly well on my channel, and I'm kind of upset at the fact that our talking about the Hulk having a pussy is one of my better performing videos.
The fan. Did you ever see the fan art?
I did. I showed it on the stream. Remember?
The
You sent it to
I
me.
just had to get to the. I just had to
Is
get to
there
the
new
fan
ones?
art. There's not new ones. It's still the one that Smacko did. I just got to that fan art in the episodes that I was making, so I had to re-explain for the video for context the handlebar.
Fuck me in the pussy,
They
brother.
call it a handlebar mustache, brother. Grab on.
Anyway, back to the darts. Apparently, some of these women have been like refusing to play against transgender women. And now the Dart League is coming out being like, hey, if you forfeit the match, you're just not going to be allowed to participate anymore. And like that's what they've been doing. They've been just forfeiting the match rather than play against a trans woman. So Hedman, a 3-time WDF World Championship finalist, told the Telegraph Sport, when the statement went out, that was the one saying that they'd be subject to disciplinary action, I felt it was aimed at me. Like, probably because you were the main one that was refusing to compete with trans women.
If you're acting like a bigot and you see the anti-bigot shit, and you're wondering if it was aimed at you, maybe.
But I love the way she says, explaining she had pulled out of May's match against Van Leuven over the effect of being forced to play a trans woman had on her mental health. She added, it's been affecting me for a very, very long time. And when it did happen, I just broke down. I was a mess, an absolute mess. It was so bad for her mental health, playing darts against someone who has a penis. Maybe has a penis. Might be post-op. We don't know. And who fucking cares? Well, this person fucking cares, apparently.
Or also might be intersex. Like
it's actually no, it is an actual trans person. I mean, maybe like sure, intersex people can't be trans, but like this isn't like the boxer situation where we don't know. Like, no, we know this person is trans, but like who the fuck cares? Like even if we grant that men might have an advantage in other sports, this is fucking darts. Like, whether or not the person you're playing against has a penis or had a penis that was removed surgically, it doesn't matter. How is that going to affect your mental health? Why would that fucking matter? Why?
Don't you understand?
Why would that fucking matter, Cirrus?
Don't you understand? Having a penis means the woman has better aim, because everybody knows...
Women have better dexterity if we're going to go with the stereotypical shit. So she has an advantage over the biological male.
Can do with our dicks is aim, except for all the times we fucking can't.
Hey, I got 5 kids, sirs. I can aim.
No, you don't understand. Sperm's on autopilot.
Only 3 of them came from me aiming.
Sperm's on autopilot.
But I'm better at aiming than your ex, because I have 3 and you only have 2.
Look, all of the sperm, they get in, they have the collective conversation, which one of us is going to reach the womb, and then one of them has to raise their hand and go, I think we're in a butthole.
I see the uvula.
I think we're in a throat right now. There's a world in which we might make it there, but I don't think any of us survives.
Yeah, so then she went on to say they haven't shown any regard for the mental health of anyone female born at all. It's all about the mental health of the transgender women. Probably because
How is your mental health affected by playing darts?
Probably because it's more damaging to someone's mental health to have someone make such a big stink over their genitalia than it is about you having to play darts against someone who maybe they have a penis.
Somebody's just sitting there. You played darts with me and you've got a wiener, probably. That makes me angry.
So is this person saying that I could beat her at darts because I have a penis? Because I guarantee you she can beat me at darts.
Nope. No, you don't understand. You have a wiener. You have a biological advantage.
I have a biological advantage. I'm better at darts because I have a penis. Even though she's a professional dart player and I haven't played darts in fucking years, so I'd probably just miss the board completely.
You use the penis to aim. You don't understand. We take the dart. Don't ask why
the penis is a counterweight, so the PP stabilizes the dart paper like the circus artists that balance on ropes with those long sticks. The penis is the counterweight. Is the test. So okay. Do you know the game Polybridge 3?
No.
It's just like it's a little like it's a game where you build bridges and then a car drives over it, and if you built the bridge right, the bridge doesn't collapse or whatever. And like there are levels with hydraulics where you build like drawbridges and shit. And there was one level where I legitimately accidentally made my bridge into a penis.
Accidentally,
because it was a drawbridge and it started in the up position. And you have to truss it up, but when I trussed up just on one side, it still broke. So I trussed it up on both sides, on the top and the bottom side, and that's what worked. But I had to like put extra supports on the bottom, and it ended up being like these like circular kind of shapes, and those ones needed to be out of steel. So I literally had to make steel balls and a shaft of wood, and that's what got me past the level. And it was entirely accidental. I did the bridge and it worked, and then I looked at it and was like, oh, that's a dick.
I don't think you understand how darts works at all. I don't.
Is darts not like building a bridge that looks like a dick?
No, no. You don't know how to use the penis right. There's two techniques, okay?
I can use the penis as a dart, okay, Sarah?
If you are flaccid, you treat it like a rubber band, and you strap the dart to it, you pull it back, and you let it go. If you are hard, you treat it like a trebuchet.
Sarah's just telling me I need to, if my penis is hard, I need to use it as a trebuchet to launch things at you. So that's foreplay next time we're...
I have unironically watched you go red in the face. Actual scarlet red.
It's red from laughing, though, not from embarrassment. I don't get embarrassed, Cirrus.
That's good. That's good.
I was... Okay.
Thank you for the drink, Eric.
So I was actually a little bit annoyed. Like, not actually annoyed, but like a little bit like, oh, disappointed, because like I made a video on my main channel where I mentioned that whole like, oh, I'm straight leaning pansexual and this is how I found that out, and I told a little bit of that story or whatever, and the reaction from my audience was just like so nothing but like there's a few people that were like, oh, thanks for sharing that, or like, oh, yay, I found out that Rhino's not straight or whatever, but like most people just didn't comment about it. Like the main comments on that video were something completely unrelated to that, and I was a little bit disappointed because like it was one of those like, oh, this is technically my coming out to my main channel. So it's like I was nervous about it, and so like I'm like, on the one hand, I'm happy that there wasn't a negative reaction because that's what I was nervous about, but then it's like there was just no reaction. It's like nobody knows. It's like, yeah, whatever.
You also didn't get the constant audience affirmation of like Vice Rhino is stunning and brave. Like you didn't get that.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, no.
Maybe a pat on the back. maybe a stroke of the prostate. You know, something. Whoa.
Oh, why did my chat go to top chat? Okay. Because Jassa says, fucking sorry we're so accepting.
Yeah, Jassa, you should be more of a bigot.
Clueless Expert says, by the way, I was watching your LGBTQ plus playlist and noticed you end one of the older videos with special thanks as always to my patrons, who are the chemicals in the water that turned the frog that is my channel gay. If you'd like to alter my sexual orientation, ... which seems hilarious in hindsight. I'm sure I've said lots of stuff like that. Like,
especially if you're saying that to your patrons, that sounds a whole lot like you're saying $20 is $20.
Oh, I've made so many "if you pay me money, I will take my clothes off for you" jokes in those things. But no, I actually rejected a story for this evening about David Tennant and the person that he called out when he received his award. Because like she responded to that, like she's still trying to do politics stuff, and she's like, I'm not afraid of Doctor Who. And it's like, you're going into politics in the UK and you're coming out as an enemy of Doctor Who. Not only Doctor Who, one of the most popular actors to ever play the character.
Yeah, it's not
like that's not a winning move. That is not a winning move. But it's also the actor who plays the character who I have said in videos in the past that I would go gay for David Tennant, and now re-examining those statements is like, no, I'd just suck his dick.
Yeah, there you go.
David Tennant, hit me up. I'm yours. Do with me as you please.
Free use, Rhino.
No, not free use. Those things. I don't understand who, like, the people, like, okay, I'm not to kink shame. If you're into this, it's fine. I just don't get it. The whole, like, we're just having a normal conversation, but two of us are having sex. I, like, what? Like, I want the person having sex to be into the sex, not just, like, having a mundane conversation. That's a thing that happens to be going on.
I will say, actually, I did get an email about this because of our conversation on free use, and how neither of us really see the appeal.
Don't kink shame, kink ask why.
But there was one person who gave me an email pointing out that when done well and safely, free use to them feels like a very bit of deep bond and trust, because even when you're doing like menial activities, you're able to do stuff. It's also can be very affirming for people who their euphoria for their gender might be tied to sexual things. Like somebody feels more like the gender that they are when somebody is having sex with them and they are being treated that way due to trauma or whatever reason. Like there was a lot of stuff in that email about how for them specifically there was a lot of affirmation in free use. So I can understand it. I can get how it can be someone's thing. It isn't my thing, but I can get it.
Sure. And like I said, I'm not kink shaming. If that is a thing that you are into, then go for it. Like there are many kinks that I don't understand why anyone would be into it. That doesn't mean that I have negative opinion of the people who are. Like sex is a very personal thing and everybody has different opinions about it, and like, yeah, do what works for you, as long as everybody's a consenting adult.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable. For this particular member of my audience, free use was a goal for celebrating their transition, basically.
Yeah.
Just signaling like, hey, I feel more like this person who I am when I am being affirmed in sex.
Sure.
So having that happen, not just during sexy times, but when I'm doing regular things around the house, is more appealing. So I can
fucking go for it then. Like, yeah, absolutely. I just don't understand it from a personal level, from myself.
Yeah, and that's where I am as well. Like for me, and this may be the demisexual part of my brain, where for me, sex is very much a personal thing. I've tried to do swinging once, like a long time ago, and I got very emotionally attached to the people who I did stuff with. And I realized like a while later, through the help of my partner I had at the time, like that's kind of a sign that you're demisexual. The reason you were able to even feel attracted to those people in the first place was you had established that bond. You didn't have the ability to do that beforehand. You were fucked either way, metaphorically and figuratively. So for me as well, like for me, sex needs to be that thing where you make it a thing. Either it is a very like quick and passionate thing, or it's a we set time aside and be romantic thing. Whatever thing it is, it needs to not be mixed with something else, basically, is how my brain interprets it. So yeah. It can't be for me.
And that's fair. See, for me, part of it is my kink is making my partner have a good time. The more she is enjoying it, the more I am enjoying it. And so the idea of like back to the free use thing, the idea that like it would just be during some menial task or whatever, and you know, I don't know if this is how it actually works out when people are doing it as a kink, but like the way it shows up in like on Pornhub is that like nobody's really into the actual sex. It's just something is happening. Like sex is just a thing that is happening during normal life stuff or whatever. It's like that doesn't do it for me, because I need my partner to be like engaged and into it and enjoying themselves, and like because that's what does it for me.
Yeah, whether people might realize it or not, there is a part of watching porn that is vicarious.
Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go to tweets in a moment, but I have to pee first. So since I entertained the people while you were changing into your onesie, you can entertain them while I pee.
Everybody, you are now thinking of Vice Rhino peeing. You are now imagining what it is like as he misses the toilet and then wonders why the bathroom isn't as clean as it was 5 minutes before he went in. This is officially what your brain is focusing on now. You have nothing else to think about right now except for the fact that Rhino is currently peeing. That's it. That's your brain. That's what's on your mind right now. You're thinking of him taking off his pants, going to the bathroom, and as of right now, he just hit the lid. And he is upset with himself but he's going to shove it to a part of his brain where he doesn't think about hitting the lid, so he can then wonder why it's a mess about 20 or 30 minutes later when he goes to brush his teeth at night. Yes, it's Vice Rhino playing darts. It's Vice Rhino playing darts. He's going to the bathroom to play darts, everybody. He's going to the bathroom to play darts. Dorito Dave says, I like the direction your channel is going right now. Steel Jewel says, I'm picturing him using toilet paper to clean up the mess. Nope, the ADHD isn't letting him do that. That's not what's happening right now. The ADHD has taken over completely, and Rhino is currently not trying to do that. What he is focusing on right now is the shame that he will compartmentalize for missing and hitting the lid. That's where he's at. Plow King says, excuse me while I whip this out. Raspberry says, Cirrus voicing piss and hypnosis kink ASMR at Rhino's expense. Pernia says, could be worse, could be Asmongold's bathroom. I hear that his hygiene is really bad. I hear his hygiene is, like, uniquely awful. Because I've been seeing all kinds of stuff on Twitter about, like, how he doesn't brush his teeth enough. Because he'll talk about water, right? And, like, absolutely despising the taste of water, which I used to have that problem, too. But one of my friends pointed out that that's kind of a symptom that your mouth hygiene isn't good because it means that you're tasting just like the bacteria and shit in your mouth. So I don't know.
Shit in your mouth?
Hear
what?
That he's very unclean.
I came back in time for shit in your mouth.
Oh no, I did Rhino ASMR the entire time.
With shit in your mouth?
No, not with shit in my mouth. I was talking about the shit in your mouth.
Oh, okay. Well, when I came up from going pee, my partner was like dancing at the corn on the counter. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on anywhere in my house right now.
Did you hit the lid?
What? I don't know. I didn't hit the lid. Why would I hit the lid? Okay. Fennec says, thank you for coming back. The babysitter was weird. What are you doing to my audience, Cirrus?
I'm corrupting them one stream at a time.
I mean,
that's what I'm doing.
I don't see how you could corrupt them any worse than I do.
Well, I didn't say that it was a upgrade or a downgrade from where they are right now. We're okay with the corruption being a side grade. Travis
Edrington says, I'm horrible about brushing my teeth. Apparently that and habit forming is hard for those who are autistic and ADHD. Habit is it has a weird relationship with ADHD and autism. In that,
habit is harder to form, but it is far more necessary.
Mm-hmm. But it's also easier to break. Like, for instance, I used to bite my nails as a habit, and I thought it was habitual because it just seemed like a habitual thing. But as soon as I made the association between biting my nails and getting ingrown fingernails and how painful that was, I just stopped. And it wasn't hard for me because apparently it wasn't actually a habit. It was more of a sensory thing where, like, oh, I have noticed that my nail is too long and that's annoying and there are no nail clippers handy, so I'm just going to take care of that with my teeth.
That feels like one step left of a stim. Like, not quite stimming.
No, I know that now, but at the time it was just like, wow, that was actually a really easy habit to break.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the tweets. The first one's a banger. The first one's probably my favorite of the bunch.
I can't wait to talk about bangers.
We've been talking about banging this whole time.
It's unfortunate.
Where have you been?
Apparently,
no, this is
the banging.
The Trumpers are almost becoming self-aware. Almost, not quite. This is a bit of an old tweet, so like, forgive me if you've seen this already. But like, I've been collecting these tweets for 2 weeks now, and I actually had to like physically stop myself. Otherwise, this is going to be way too long. But starting with Alex Stone, who said, I just had a terrifying thought. What would happen if President Trump wins the election, but on January 6th, Kamala Harris does what President Trump wanted Mike Pence to do? Yeah, wouldn't that be a horrible, terrible, treasonous thing to do?
You know what's so strange when we're talking about these treasonous things one person can do to the country? It's so weird that Laura Loomer on Tim Pool's channel talked about executing people for treason, and Tim had to scrub it from his channel because talking about killing people is a thing YouTube doesn't like very much. It's so weird to think about how these people view treason and how bad it would be if somebody else did the treason that Trump already tried to do.
It's just like, how do you type this tweet and send it without realizing what you're saying? Like, this is like, I recognize that what we did was a bad thing, but it's only bad when other people do it. It's not bad when we do it. Like, what? How did you not make that connection?
The reason they didn't make that connection is because of the but. I realize that it's bad when this happens.
But because of the but. You said because of the but.
And now the but, much like what happens with the obesity epidemic in the United States, the but has to carry a lot. The but has to do a lot of work now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like, what if other people did the same thing as us?
God damn it.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing. That's why we don't want you to do it. That's why Trump is being indicted all over the place for doing it. That's why a bunch of people went to prison for doing it.
Thank you for redeeming your points.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, whoa. Are you happy now?
I'm
Did you
happy.
Get what you wanted?
I got what I wanted.
If you're happy, that's not what I'm asking.
I'm so hard right now.
I need you. I'm not kink shaming. I'm kink asking why. That's where I'm at the moment. That's what I'm doing.
PSA. No oohing beyond this point.
Sylvie Snow says that's what you get for the Rhino toilet play. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Next comes Autocorrect 2.0, who says, most atheism that is allegedly based on I'm an atheist because I read the Bible is actually always I have abysmal reading comprehension upon more thorough review and investigation.
All right, cool. Have any examples of that? Ooh.
No, they don't have examples of that.
That's
Rosina
the
says,
first
did I hear ooh?
No,
you did, Rosina.
Didn't. It was a spook the entire time. You heard nothing.
Wrong
button.
Ooh.
There it is.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
Ooh. God damn it. Ooh. So anytime somebody says something like this, because I've heard this shit before, right? And usually it's some version of you didn't read the Bible with the Holy Spirit. That's usually how it's worded. But when it's worded like this, my go-to from now on is going to be, do you have any examples of that? Do you have any examples of an atheist specifically misunderstanding a specific part of the Bible that you hold contention with and why you hold contention with it?
Because immediately I would just bring up Dr. Josh, who is an atheist. And he's a PhD Assyriologist who's he reads biblical Hebrew. He's my go-to. Like when I occasionally get into arguments about like, oh, this is what that word means in the original Hebrew, I will almost always run it past Dr. Josh. And there have been times, so many times, when I've thought this is such a simple thing, but like these two sources are saying two different things about it. This one is clearly more reputable. I just want Dr. Josh to confirm this for me. Like, make sure that my understanding is correct when if I say this about it, is that accurate? And he'll be like, just a second, I got to research that. And he won't get back to me for like 2 days because he's like doing a deep dive on this one Hebrew word. And I'm just like, I just said this one little thing about it, and you're doing this in-depth research onto it. And like he'll come back to me with like paragraphs of like, these are the contexts that we've seen this word used in outside of the Bible. These are the contexts we've seen it used in inside the Bible. This is how it seems to play out in most contexts. And he'll come back with this beautifully intricate explanation of this one singular ancient Hebrew word. And this is the degree of care that he puts into understanding the source material. And like when he writes his books, that deal with the Bible, he does his own translating of the Bible. He doesn't rely on someone else's translation. He does it himself with this degree of care for every single word. And
it's
then he
almost like,
and then he writes a book about how the Bible endorses slavery. And then he writes The Atheist Guide to the Old Testament, volumes 1 and 2, narrated by Seth Andrews. And
it's almost like there are easy, prominent atheist figures you can point to who actually do a good bit of work and a good bit of research into this shit. Also, Stoff, I want a lion to sit on your face. Oh, whoa. Again. I mean, it had to happen again. I guess.
What if he's a furry who's into face sitting? Is Stoff he? Sorry. Pronouns for Stoff.
Stoff's it.
Stoff is it. Okay.
But so while I hadn't considered that, now I'm having to consider it.
That could be a nice thing for them. Just saying.
I want to die.
Just saying. There's a kink for everybody. Everybody's got a kink.
I just need this to pull out my jugular real quick.
It's
very important to me.
I thought you were going lower with that.
No, so it's not going to work if I just rip that off. That'll heal. I need to
No, there are arteries down there that
I need to figure out if God's real. Hold on.
Have you seen Flatliners?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a movie about a bunch of people who they're like pre-med or they're med students who like kill themselves and then revive themselves to see whether or not the afterlife is real.
What?
Yeah, it's a movie from the 90s. It's fairly big.
Okay.
I forget who's in it. Fairly big named actors, I think. IMDb.com. Now I got to look up Flatliners. Jessica Alba's in it? Flatliners. 2017. No, not that one. Not that one. 1990. That's the one. Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts. They didn't get the good Baldwin. They got Billy Baldwin.
I know some of those names.
Oliver Platt. Who else is in it? No, those are the biggest names. Yeah, they remade Flatliners. I just discovered that as I was trying to find the other one, that they did one in 2017 with Elliot Page and Diego Luna. I like Diego Luna.
They remade Flatliners?
With Diego Luna.
Huh.
Okay. I might have to watch that. Because Diego Luna is fucking amazing. Anyway, back to the tweets. Next up is... Why is it not scrolling? Next up is nothing because I'm... Oh, my whole thing is frozen.
Yeah, Zoom is frozen.
There we go. Oh, no, we're not going to Frank.
There we go.
Oh, you guys got a fucking preview. There's 2 Blair Whites.
No!
Blair White says, I've done a lot of dumb things in my life, but at least I can say I never got the COVID vaccine. That's another dumb thing you did in your life.
Things plus 1.
Yeah, that counts as one of the dumb things you did. Or didn't do in that case.
Okay.
And then Blair White again says, I stopped listening to the My Body, My Choice people when they banned people who didn't get a half dozen shots that didn't work from participating in society. That never happened.
Yeah, they didn't get banned from participating in society, and I don't know what she even means by didn't work, because the vaccine does what it's supposed to do.
I got vaccinated and I got boosted before I got COVID for the first time. And as a result of having been vaccinated and boosted, when I got COVID, it was like, basically I had a runny nose for a couple days. It was almost nothing.
I've had COVID twice now. Once was really bad. It laid me out even after I was vaccinated and boosted. And the second time, it was basically a cold.
Yeah.
Like I know that it could have been a lot worse because I know what my parents went through when they got it. And they were, like, Republicans they may be, they were vaccinated at the very least. And even then, it kicked their fucking asses. But again, I've seen how bad it can be. I've seen how bad it can get. Yeah. So to know that by do you know by severity, it's not as bad.
Do you know the physics girl, Diana Cowern? Diana, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but I think it's Cowern. She had a great YouTube channel. She would explain physics concepts in a very entertaining and relatable way, very approachable and amazing. I've referenced her videos in my videos before, and it's great. She got long COVID. She is still to this day, several years ago, she got long COVID, and she is still bedridden. Like, she is only just starting to get to the point where she can compose her own tweets again.
Jesus.
Yeah, it fucked her right up.
I know for Saki, she got long COVID, and it not literally, but effectively made her lungs Swiss cheese. So it's harder for her to breathe.
Yeah. Do you know Pirate Software? Thor?
Yes, I do.
He got long COVID, where it knocked him out for a couple years. He couldn't program. So, like,
Jesus.
Yeah, long COVID is not something to joke around with. And like, if you are vaccinated and boosted, you are less likely to get long COVID. And if you do get COVID or long COVID, it's going to be less severe.
Lower.
So like, yeah, no, like there's so many studies that show that conclusively. So like, just fucking get the shots. Just fucking get them.
Like, if you're worried about risks, we know what all of the risks are. We have very comprehensive studies.
Almost every single
risk.
Almost every single one of the risks with the COVID vaccine is even more of a risk if you get actual COVID.
Yep.
Like, they talk about myocarditis. Like, yeah, that's a risk of the vaccine. You might get myocarditis. You know what has an exponentially higher risk of myocarditis? Actually getting COVID. So, like, just get the fucking shots.
Yep.
Bragwin says physics girl has ME/CFS with post-exertion malaise. Basically, the virus messed with the mitochondria of her cells so she can't regulate energy.
Because the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
That it is. Yep.
And now it can't power the house.
Yep. Yeah, and I fucking loved her channel. I'm so mad at COVID for taking that away from us for so long. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Dustin Grage says, so again, this is an older one. This conspiracy theory seems to have petered out a little bit, but for a while they were trying to be like, Tim Walz was with 2 different dogs? What? It's like, says, yes, this is Tim Walz tweeting about his dog Scout. Only problem is that these are 2 completely different dogs. Except one of them is, so like the one on the left is like, hey, this is me and Scout. The one on the right
The one on the left is a dog in a dog park in a different harness.
No, the one on the right is, I took Scout to a dog
the one
park.
On the right, sorry.
Yeah, the one on the right is, I took Scout to a dog park. And this isn't Scout, this is just a dog that was at the dog park.
Yeah.
So this is where this kind of, for me, this kind of began the hypothesis of, I think Republicans just don't know about the existence of the number 2, and this, because you get,
so they're
Kamala
one step
Harris
below Valve.
Kamala Harris is biracial. She's made up of at least 2 races. That doesn't make sense. She used to be Indian, now she's black. She can't be both. That's a bad thing. Tim Walz,
for some reason,
he has a dog named Scout on the left, and there's another dog on the right, and he says the Scout was there too, but the Scout's not in that picture. So there's 2. There's 2 no, we don't understand 2. So like, oh no, this is a conspiracy. Like, what the fuck even would the conspiracy be here? What do they think happened?
I hate that I heard the there's an all female Ghostbusters Vine when you were talking about there's a second dog there. They just heard they're making an all-female Ghostbusters. The woke are taking over. Na 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 na. I'm an adult virgin.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is even the conspiracy theory supposed to be here? What does he think the goal was of faking a dog named Scout? Several years before he was VP candidate.
He's playing the long game. Like COVID, that isn't real.
I don't know. I don't get
That's
it.
What
like,
the establishment doesn't want you to know.
What? Like, I don't get what the goal was supposed to be here. It's like there are multiple dogs. One is Scout, one is not. But Scout was there. But like there's a video that went along with this post that like took no time whatsoever to find, where Scout is in the video and it's the black dog that he called Scout in the other picture. Like, I don't know. These people are just grasping at straws. It's weird. Frank Turek says, if you're going to say evil exists and that people do evil, you have to assume that they have free will. Credit where it's due. I did not see this ending in a free will argument. I thought this was going to be his typical shtick of, you know, if you want God to get rid of all the evil in the world, would you even be alive afterwards? Because the only way to get rid of evil is to kill the evil people. As God is so uncreative that the only solution he can possibly think of is mass murder. But, so yeah, it went to free will. But,
a different area than you would have expected. I still disagree with him, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think free will exists.
See, I'm on the fence about that. I don't know whether or not free will exists. I don't particularly care. It seems to exist, so we should behave as though it exists.
I mean, so I'm a pragmatist,
yeah.
So I agree with that statement. I am also of the opinion that there is enough apparatus in your subconscious for operating the human body that we consciously do not have any control over.
Yeah, something Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Yeah, it's enough for me to go, yeah, free will probably doesn't exist, but it doesn't matter. We still have to operate as though it does.
Yeah. Yeah, but like even if free will doesn't exist, we still have preferences. And there are things that we prefer not to happen, like mass murder. That's a bad thing, whether you think free will exists or not.
Well, because the thing is, even if you don't think free will exists, you still have to accept that there are consequences to actions, because if there are not consequences to certain actions, then certain actions can just happen over and over and over again unimpeded. So if somebody is doing a mass murder and that is just a thing that they want to do, then maybe incarcerating them is a good thing because it objectively leads to fewer mass murders.
So back to the Tim Walz thing, Rosina Uwu Keller says, I think the goal was to show that Walz lies about mundane stuff too, so Trump isn't weird about crowd sizes. Maybe if the goal is to show that Matt Walz lies about mundane things, therefore Trump lying about mundane things isn't weird, then I guess I could kind of see that, but Trump's still fucking weird.
I lied about brushing my teeth once to my parents when I was a child. Therefore, I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I mean...
And I'm going to do the big lie.
There's so much weird going on. Like, did you see the tweet? Like, there was some hunting page that, like, they tweeted out a picture of a bunch of guys.
All of the birds into Trump's name.
Dead bird carcasses spelling out Trump. It's like, no, if you're... Like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but spelling out the name of a candidate that you support in dead animal carcasses is weird.
It's also weird considering that one of Trump's talking points that he's repeatedly gone to against green energy has been save the birds.
Yeah, it kills birds.
He's like,
so let's spell out Trump's name in dead birds.
If you like windmills, I feel sorry for you if you like birds too. Because if you've ever looked at the bottom of one of those, it's a bad sight. It's bad. Like it. What's the message there?
Well, I mean, there is a legitimate concern about windmills harming birds. But, like, the concern is so much lower than climate change. Like, windmills are so much less harmful to birds than climate change is to just people. A hat. Oh, I haven't been communist in a while.
Da, 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 da.
These are our apologetics, comrade.
Our Rhino.
Joey Manorino says Kamala's campaign is diabolical. To use the word freedom as a representation of the communist agenda. The communist agenda. Perfect timing on the hat. They're using USA chants which do not belong to them. Belong is two different words. It's belong. because Joey's an idiot. They're using every trick in the book by running an American-styled campaign only to implement the truest form of communism ever tried. I'm just absolutely chuffed at the fact that I chose to put this hat on before this tweet. That was not intentional. I did not remember that this tweet was even here. I just love that he's so obsessing over communism while I'm wearing my little USSR hat.
You did it.
Thank you so much for whoever did the hats off to you. The perfect timing. Mwah, no notes. This is truly diabolical, and I pray Americans don't fall for it. If they do, America will never recover. Stop talking about 2028. It won't exist. So yeah, this is all about how, I guess Kamala, this is, let's see, when was this? August 22nd? It was a couple weeks ago. Harris did a speech where they started doing the USA chant, the USA, USA. And I just thought it was hilarious that, like, Republicans were being like, that belongs to us. That stupid chant that's associated with people being idiots belongs to us. Like, okay, you can have it. I had mixed feelings about it being used at a Democratic event. So, like, sure, take it back. It's yours. You can have it. Cats kill billions of birds a year, more than all other causes of bird deaths combined. Yeah, so PSA for tonight, all cats should be indoor cats. Yes, cats don't like being indoor cats. They prefer being outdoor cats, but they are really bad for the environment. Perfect example, my cat, when she was alive, we kept her inside. She was an indoor cat, but she would occasionally escape.
Yep.
Every single fucking time she escaped, she killed a vole and brought it back to the front. We don't even know where the fuck these things lived.
She had a gift for you?
But, like, no, but these guys are, like, we looked it up. They're not really supposed to be in our area, and they are endangered. Like, not endangered, they're, like, one step before endangered, whatever that level is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like... And every time she went out, she would kill one and bring it back to us. And it's like, that's not good. No, these things need to be alive. Because, like, that's bad for the environment to be, like, killing these creatures that are supposed to be part of the ecosystem that they're not because of human activity, including letting cats outside. So, yeah, and, like, vole isn't the species, like, a specific species of vole. I forget what it was, but, like, we looked it up because, like, she kept on killing these things. Like, I've never seen something like that's not a mouse. It's not a rat. Like, I've never seen a rodent like this. She kept fighting, and they were just in our yard. They probably are still there now that our cat is dead. Threatened is the level above endangered.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, cats are adorable. You can absolutely keep a happy, healthy cat inside. Like, make sure they have lots of space to exercise, make sure they have a cat tree or something to climb on, but don't let them outside. And I have mixed feelings about farm cats that are, like, there to kill pests and stuff like that, because they also kill birds and shit. But I understand that, like, that's something that might be necessary on a farm, and, like, it's better for the environment than poisoning, maybe? I don't know.
There's also situations like the one I'm in where I technically have one outside cat because the cat does not play well with any of the animals inside, and I did not choose to have the cat. It was the situation where a friend of mine growing up who turned out to be a predator said that he needed me to watch his cat for a few days as he was getting arrested, and I did not have the context of his arrest or why he was getting arrested or any of that. So I took his cat in 2 years ago. And here I am.
Okay. Anyway, that's the PSA. Try and keep your cats inside. And
when
farm
you have
cats,
the ability
I don't know,
to, it is the better one.
I don't know what to say about farm cats because I recognize that they're a useful tool. Like, I don't know.
I know that they're...
I know that cats are bad for the local ecology.
Yeah.
Anyway, case orbs. How many liberals have figured out that Kamala was installed? Well, I mean, I didn't get that little pop-up.
In what way?
I didn't get the little pop-up warning me that, like, something was trying to install something that I had to click yes on. So, like,
You're about to install Kamala Harris.
No, I think he's talking about how, like, she was nominated at the DNC without doing a proper primary, which this is one of those things where it's like, they make, like, the Republicans are making such a big stink about it, but, like, clearly the reason for that is not because they're actually concerned about election integrity. It's because they're actually scared about running against Kamala instead of Biden. Because, like, if it was actually a problem with election integrity, then you would see Democrats being up in arms, being like, hey, why are we nominating Kamala? I didn't vote for her. Because, like, realistically, the way the parties choose their candidate, there are no constitutional rules about that. The parties get to decide that for themselves. They don't even have to have a primary. They could just be like, hey, this is our candidate this year. Fuck you. We're not letting you vote for her. That's our candidate. Yeah. And that would be perfectly legal. And that's not a great system.
But it is the like system we have.
As all the fucking Bernie bros will tell you, Bernie got fucked over by that system. But, like, I have not heard... Well, I've heard a couple, but, like, very, very few Democrats have complained about Kamala being put in without any votes. It's all coming from Republicans, which says to me they're terrified of her. So, like, good. Like, realistically, it was going to be Biden, and then Biden dropped out. So, like, everybody's just fucking excited that it's not the old man who looks like he's about to collapse.
We're happy for anybody that we got besides Biden.
Yeah. I was like the party coalesced around one like, because you go back and watch the archives of the show. The thing that I was worried about if Biden drops out is there going to be a bunch of infighting? Are there going to be a bunch of Democrats vying for that position? And now it's going to be like splitting the base even more, kind of like what Bernie Sanders did in 2016, where like the Bernie bros were like, oh, if I can't vote for Bernie, I'm just going to vote for Trump to upset the apple cart.
We did find as well, though, that there was a significant split within the Democratic Party, but it was kept very, very hush-hush because AOC did a live stream on Twitter where she kind of aired out a lot of those grievances for an audience, which a lot of people noted, like, hey, she's being really transparent about this. That's really cool. But that was one of those things where, like, I figured it would go to Kamala because that's kind of what you would have to do to have access to the DNC money legally. But at the same time, there were a lot of people within the Democratic Party that just strictly did not want her to be the nominee. So we did see there was a split there, but the split was happening internally.
Yeah, and it was not like under wraps, but like it was minimized. And I feel like that was the appropriate way to go about this, because like ideally, like when you're running against a normal Republican, sure, fine, whatever. Try and like air your dirty laundry to try and get yourself, like, promote yourself, whatever. Like, I don't necessarily think that's what it should be, but that would be politics as normal. But like, if Donald Trump gets another term, I'm not convinced that the United States would stay the same country fundamentally. Like, I don't know that it would be as bad as, like, democracy would end in the United States, but I don't know that it wouldn't be that. Because I remember in 2016, I would have said you were being hyperbolic if you had said any of the stuff about Donald Trump that he actually did in subsequent years. So, like, looking back on that, I'm like, I was being too conservative with my criticisms of Trump. So now it's like, yeah, people are saying he's a threat to democracy. Would he actually be capable of ending democracy functionally in the States? I don't want to say no, because I saw what he was able to do with one term.
Also, he's recently been going on record to say that he is very proud of the people that he's managed to plant in, like, the Georgia election board, because they will be trying to, the strategy they're going to be trying to go with is cause chaos to try to say that any amount of votes that come in look suspect, to try to delay it as long as they possibly can to prevent that actual vote from being certified if it looks like a Democrat's going to end up winning, or a Democrat vote's going to end up being the thing that comes out of Georgia, like what happened last time.
Yeah.
And when I'm sorry, but when Donald Trump is the person saying that your election board is great and they're going to do what they can to help you, I'm already a little sus about that. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Rod Dreher says, if the GOP had chosen Ron DeSantis, the party would be up over the Democratic nominee by double digits by now. That's high-grade copium right there.
Yeah, that feels like cope. It
Ron,
feels like cope, but it also doesn't feel wrong.
I mean, Ron Pudding Fingers DeSantis, you think he would be up over Kamala?
Actually, the more I think on it, yes.
No.
So the reason I say that is he doesn't have the same baggage as Trump. He does have that baggage to people who are politically plugged in. 110%.
He's an alien in a human suit.
Yes, I understand this, but what I'm trying to do is look at this not from the perspective of somebody who's politically plugged in, that knows the shit that he's done, that knows that he's just a shit stain, just going off of regular ass voters' enthusiasm.
Regular ass voters don't have a clue who he is, so they'd just be like, whatever.
That's why he doesn't have the same baggage as Trump, though.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be up double digits. He would just be mediocre at best.
It depends.
He wouldn't be able to energize the base. The only people he would be able to energize are the people that Trump already energizes.
Except that the people that Trump is already energizing, or energized in the past, there's a group of them that are specifically not going to be voting for Trump for the same reasons they didn't vote for him in 2020. Like, the Republican vote, some of that trickling into the Democratic vote helped out a fuck ton last time.
Yeah.
And if Ron DeSantis was the candidate, that's not something that we would be able to rely on this time.
Did you see Trump commenting how he lost the 2020 election by a whisker?
Oh, yeah, because he actually said, he willingly said he lost.
That was the thing that Nick Fuentes got up on him. I remember now. Nick Fuentes was all like, hey, why did we do January 6th if you lost? What was the whole stop the steal thing? I thought they stole the election. I thought you didn't lose. And now you're saying you lost? What gives? But he said he lost by a whisker, but 7 million votes is not a whisker.
No, it's not.
This was my tweet. I was like, 7 million votes isn't losing by a whisker. It's losing by twice as much as you lost by in 2016. The Electoral College is weird.
Maurice Bear in my chat says Trump energizes people ? Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this about a person who I absolutely despise and I think is a shit stain and should trip on a Lego filled with tetanus. But
go back and see our conversation about how if we were in a D&D setting, Trump has a charisma score that works as long as your wisdom saving throw is under a certain amount.
Yeah, his thing is he has been trained, actually studied how to be a media personality. Yes, he has charisma. Does it work on you individually? Maybe, maybe not. But to argue I'll say this. You are spitting in the face of Sun Tzu to argue that Trump doesn't have charisma. It is the one skill he has. He is a con man.
Arguably, he's losing it, though.
He's losing it in his old age. Yes, he is losing it.
Yeah, he's not as charismatic as he was in 2016, for which I am immensely thankful.
But he is 100% a con man through and through. And one of the major aspects that makes a con man function very well is their charisma. It is their ability to show confidence in a position, irrespective of if it's true. This is the reason why he does things like purport the big lie. This is the reason why he engages in the projection that he does, because when he does these things, it does energize people. It does deflect away from his faults. When you have an enemy who is, quite frankly, as powerful as Trump, the most important thing you can do is respect when they are good at something. And when it comes to playing a crowd, that is his skill. And that is one of the things that makes him very, very dangerous.
Yeah. Okay.
Dorito Dave says, we don't read The Art of War here. We read The Art of the Deal. God damn it.
All right. Well, that's it for the tweets. I'm actually kind of surprised that we managed to finish somewhat on time.
Despite all of the somewhat on time. We're an hour late.
No, I've just, in my head, I've just shifted the end time of the show to 11 o'clock.
Oh, this is now an 8:30 to 11 thing.
Yeah. No longer do we end at 10. So before we go, assuming all goes correctly, and all goes according to plan, we will be interviewing Forrest Valkai on September 12th, which is a Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, September 12th.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. Forrest is fucking awesome.
Their video they did on gender, I still have notes on, and I still find them useful.
Mm-hmm. He did a talk at BajaCon about how science doesn't just help you understand things better, it makes you a better person. And that was a big part of it, is how, like, if you understand race from a scientific perspective, not in the scientific racism thing, but in the whole race is actually a social construct and doesn't have a basis in biology, it makes you a better person. How sexuality, same thing, makes you a better person if you understand how sexuality works. If you understand how sex differentiation works, then you end up not being anti-trans, and it makes you a better person. And that was his whole talk. And he's just a delightful person, and I'm totally looking forward to this.
That's awesome.
And yeah, he's just, it was like, he was one of the people, like, all the people I was in the selfie with, I didn't like hang out with most of them throughout the weekend. Forrest, I actually got a bit of a chance to like actually sit down at a table and like hang out with him for like maybe an hour or something like that. It's just a great guy.
Yeah.
He's like the one, like when he started his YouTube channel, I will admit I was a little bit jealous. Like I saw how fast he was growing and it was like, oh, God damn it. I'm not growing that fast. How come he is passing me in subscriber numbers when he just started like last year and I've been doing this for like 7 years? But then I'm watching his videos and like, oh, that's why he's growing faster than me. He's just good.
Because he's good at what he does.
So
he's very good at what he does.
Yeah, Olivia says he hates his video on gender. Yeah, I actually did talk to him about that. A big part of that is how many times he smacks the table and it comes through the microphone.
Oh, so he hates it on a mechanical level, not on a research, basis.
I didn't get into the nitty gritty with it, but like I could definitely see there being like, I have stuff like this. Like, there are videos that I've done where like I look at them now and I'm like, I could have phrased that better. I didn't have the full picture on this, like I hadn't found this other research on that, and that's a constant struggle with content creation, is like, oh, I learned something new, so now this thing that I said in this old video is no longer accurate. The old video is still up. Do I take it down? Do I put a comment on it? Do I just leave it alone and just correct myself going forward? It's a struggle sometimes, but
yeah,
anyway, that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining us. And as always, fuck off.